Hello. I welcome you for the continuation of the lecture series on basic civil and mechanical engineering. So in the previous lecture, we discussed about the steam power plant. So in steam power plant, the fuel used is actually coal. So now we'll move on to the next type of power plant, which is a nuclear power plant. So as we discussed with the steam power plant, the same concepts apply to the nuclear power plant. It is also a constant load power plant. So it can be used to supply constant load of electricity throughout the year. So it is not hindered by any uh, weather conditions such as a solar power plant or the hydroelectric power plant. This is constant power producing power plant throughout the year. So that's a major advantage of this nuclear power plants. Uh, so what nuclear power plant does? So nuclear power plant, what it does is that uh, it produces electricity through some generator. So how that is produced? That is what we will be seeing now. So here nuclear energy is nothing but there are some unstable elements available in the nature form uh, like krypton, uranium, thorium, plutonium, etc. So these elements, when they are struck by a neutron, they set off a chain reaction. So that chain reaction liberates huge amount of heat energy. So that's the basic principle of a nuclear bomb. If the same conditions are repeated in a controlled environment, the word controlled environment is very important. So if the nuclear reaction takes place uncontrollably, it is called as a nuclear bomb. But when it is done in a controlled environment, it is its power can be harnessed for useful purposes such as producing electricity. So that's the basic principle of this nuclear power plant. So if you compare side by side the coal power plant and the nuclear power plant, the operating principle of both these things are same. Only difference here, as you can see here, there is transformer and generator here. Similarly, transformer and generator is present here. There is a cooling tower present here. Similarly, cooling tower is present in the nuclear power plant also. By the way, the left side is a nuclear power plant and right side is thermal power plant. So there is a steam turbine setup available. Here also steam turbine setup is available. Condenser setup, same condenser setup is available here. So what's the only difference here? We have guessed it well and good. The source of heat. In a coal power plant, the source of heat is coal. Whereas in nuclear power plant, the source of heat is nuclear reaction. So nuclear reaction, as we all know, it is a very dangerous process. Huge amount of particulate matter, particularly alpha, gamma, beta particles will be emitted from the nuclear reaction, which is very, very harmful to any living being. So to stop the spread of this nuclear rays, the entire setup is sealed inside a lead container, which again in turn is sealed through a heavy wall of concrete, usually up to a meter in thick. So such high precautions need to be taken in order to produce nuclear energy. Though you can say it is a very dangerous process, but it is a very reliable process. If maintenance is done properly, proper maintenance is done throughout the year, everything is monitored perfectly, it is a safe source of producing electricity. But the major drawback here is that there is any natural calamity, then it may lead to a huge catastrophic failure. That's a major drawback of this nuclear power plant. Other than that, it is a reliable source of electricity. So how the nuclear reaction takes place? So that's what we'll be seeing here. So the uranium which we need is uranium 233, uranium 235 or uranium 237. So the reaction which happens here is called as nuclear fission. There is another type of reaction, nuclear fusion, which happens in the sun. So here it's actually fission. Fission means breaking. Here, if you see closely, uranium 236, when a neutron strikes uranium 235, its mass number goes up to 236, which is highly unstable. This uranium 236 will in turn break into two parts, namely plutonium, thorium, based on the reaction, and neutrons will be liberated. These neutrons will strike other uranium-235 atoms, setting up a chain reaction. So that is called as a nuclear chain reaction. So because of this, heat is liberated. So that heat can be used to, you see here, because of this heat is liberated. Here, the nuclear reaction will take place and the heat will be generated. That heat will be used to convert the water into steam. So that steam will in turn run the turbine and the process continues similar to that of your coal power plant. So that's the basic operating principle of this nuclear power plant. So major drawbacks here are the disposal of nuclear fuel. As we all know, this nuclear fuel is very hazardous to any living being. So it has to be disposed in a controlled manner. So that's the regarding this nuclear power plant. I hope you understood this lecture. Thank you, students. We will meet in the next lecture video.